A section-by-section walkthrough of California Form FL-341, the attachment that sets out the court's actual custody and parenting time order, including how it differs from FL-311 and common mistakes to avoid. What is Form FL-341? Form FL-341 is the California Judicial Council form titled Child Custody and Visitation, Parenting Time, Order Attachment. Where a request states what a parent wants, FL-341 states what the court has decided, who has legal custody, who has physical custody, and the specific parenting time schedule both parents are now required to follow. It is always attached to another form. FL-341 does not open a case or a hearing on its own. It supports a broader order by adding the custody and parenting time detail that the underlying judgment or findings and order after hearing doesn't spell out on its own. Why the order needs a separate attachment. A judgment or a findings and order after hearing covers the overall resolution of a case or a hearing, custody being just one piece. FL-341 exists so the custody and parenting time terms get the space they need. A full weekday, weekend, holiday, and vacation schedule doesn't fit cleanly into the main body of a judgment, so it lives in this dedicated attachment instead. FL-311 versus FL-341, Request versus Order. These two forms look similar because they cover the same ground, legal custody, physical custody, and a parenting time schedule, but they serve opposite roles in a case. FL-311 and FL-341. Our guide on how to fill out Form FL-311 walks through the request side in detail. FL-341 doesn't have to match a request exactly. It can adopt one parent's proposed schedule, the other's, a negotiated agreement, or terms a judge crafted after weighing both sides. Once it's signed by the court, FL-341 becomes the binding order, not a proposal. Confusing FL-311 with FL-341 is a common mistake. If you're drafting a proposed order after a hearing or an agreement, use FL-341. When FL-341 is used, FL-341 is attached to whichever form finalizes the custody decision in your case, FL-180, Judgment, and FL-340, Findings and Order after hearing. If your case does not involve custody or parenting time, you won't need FL-341 at all, and FL-341 isn't limited to contested cases decided by a judge. It's just as commonly used to formalize terms both parents have already agreed to. Section-by-section walkthrough of FL-341. Here's what the form actually records. Legal custody. This section states who has the right to make major decisions about the children's health, education, and welfare, as ordered by the court. Joint legal custody. Both parents share decision-making authority. Sole legal custody to one parent, only that parent makes major decisions. Joint legal custody is a common outcome and doesn't require the parents to agree on every decision. It means neither parent can decide unilaterally without consulting the other. Physical custody. This section states where the children actually live day to day as ordered. Joint physical custody. The children spend significant time living with each parent. Primary physical custody to one parent, with parenting time ordered for the other parent. Legal and physical custody are ordered separately, so an order commonly pairs joint legal custody with primary physical custody to one parent alongside a defined parenting time schedule for the other. Parenting time schedule. This is the core of the order. It lays out the actual schedule both parents are now required to follow, including weekday schedule, which parent has the children on which weekdays, with pickup and drop-off times. Weekend schedule, typically alternating weekends, with start and end times. Holiday schedule, how major holidays and school breaks are divided or alternated year to year. Vacation time, how each parent's vacation time with the children is scheduled and how much advance notice is required. Exchange details where and how the children are picked up and dropped off between parents. Pro tip, draft the schedule as if it will be read months or years later by someone unfamiliar with your family. Transportation and exchange logistics. Beyond the basic schedule, this section can specify practical logistics: who is responsible for transportation, where exchanges happen, a home, a school, a neutral public location, and any special arrangements needed, such as a third party handling exchanges if the parents don't interact directly. Additional orders. FL-341 also has room for additional terms tied to custody, such as requirements around notifying the other parent before travel with the children, rules about introducing new partners to the children, communication expectations between the parents, supervision requirements if the case involves a safety concern addressed earlier in the request. Why specificity makes an order enforceable. Because FL-341 becomes a court order, not a proposal, specificity matters more here than almost anywhere else in a family law case. A vague order, such as one that simply says reasonable parenting time without defining what that means, is difficult for either parent to enforce if a disagreement comes up later. A specific order, with named days, times, and locations, gives both parents and the court, if it's ever needed again, something concrete to point to. This matters whether the order reflects a judge's decision after a contested hearing or an agreement the parents reached on their own. Either way, once FL-341 is signed, it functions as an order both parents are legally required to follow. Common mistakes to avoid: writing a vague schedule, such as reasonable parenting time, instead of specific days, times, and exchange locations. Confusing FL-341, the order, with FL-311, the request, and filing the wrong one. Recording terms that don't actually match what the parties agreed to or what the judge ordered at the hearing. Leaving holidays or school vacations unaddressed, which often leads to disputes later. Filing FL-341 without attaching it to the correct underlying form, FL-180 or FL-340. Omitting transportation or exchange details, leaving logistics to be worked out informally after the order is signed. What happens after FL-341 is signed? Once FL-341 is completed, attached to the judgment or findings and order after hearing, and signed by the judge, it becomes the operative custody and parenting time order for your family. From there, both parents are required to follow the schedule and terms exactly as written. Either parent can bring the matter back to court to enforce the order if the other parent doesn't comply. The order remains in effect until it's modified by a later order, which generally requires a new request for order and a significant change in circumstances. Keeping a copy of the signed order accessible helps resolve day-to-day scheduling questions without needing to go back to court. If keeping track of all of this by hand feels like a lot, that is exactly what Virdix is built for. The wizard at Virdix.co walks you through these same questions in plain language and prepares your FL-341 for you. Virdix is a document preparation service, not a law firm, so this is not legal advice, but it can help make sure your paperwork is complete and consistent from the start.